What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm Jose.
And I'm Ant.
How are you doing this week, guys?
Yeah, hot.
Hot and bothered.
Hot and bothered, yeah. Well, I guess we should prefix this a little bit by saying it is very, very hot. We are British. We don't do very well in the heat, so we have got the windows open.
Yay!
We may well have to put the fan on. So if you hear lots of screaming little chavvy children, it's because the window's open.
We put the fan over just to cover their voices out.
So yeah, there we go. That's that covered. Quality is the name of the game here, evidently.
You should give them the heads up, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do what I can to edit out the snotty nose little runts, but I love children. I really no, I don't. I don't. I love children. I love my own child, obviously, because he's not a snotty nosed little runt. He's a well behaved little boy. But I can't say the same for most of the
Everyone
kids around my way. Yeah. So anyway, how have we been this week?
All right, I guess. Yeah. Same old.
Yeah,
ready and raving for the next episode?
Yeah, excellent. Have you had fun at work? Because it's a busy time for you, isn't it?
It is super busy for me. It's cutting out my gaming days as well because Gatwick is coming up to its summer season. So that means I have to work more and rest less.
Excellent.
Rest less.
Excellent. Yes, we haven't had a Wednesday night game session for
a couple of weeks now.
2 weeks now.
And probably for another couple more as well.
Yeah, although we've potentially got a plan to maybe move the nights around.
Hopefully move Jogging around, get some gaming in.
But yeah, James, what about you?
Yeah. Work.
Fun.
Yep.
Fun. Still the same old, people getting barbecues, all that kind of rubbish?
Yeah, we've moved into that season because obviously the football's on as well, so...
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah. That's the Buccio season, right?
The only good thing that ever came from football was Sabutio. I feel the pain because, I guess regular listeners of the past few years will know this is the time of year where I get incredibly stressed because Wimbledon tennis tournament is on, which I have to work. And
your favourite time of the year,
I hate it. I genuinely hate it. I get incredibly stressed and very, very miserable, more so than normal at this time of year, and I tend to snap at a lot of people. I haven't snapped at you guys today yet.
Not
which I
yet,
think is pretty
right,
good.
James? Not yet.
Well, we'll see how it goes, though.
I was going to say.
Today, in itself, Ant, could be incredibly stressful.
It
because
could be.
For the first time ever, I've got to hand over the reins of this podcast to you.
Yes, you have. He's very good as well. He even offered me the controls.
The buttons and everything.
While holding on to it and not wanting to actually relinquish.
Just cradling it like it was his own child. Like, no, you cannot have the Roadcaster. It's mine. My precious. It's the precious.
It is the life and soul of Meeple Minded is this thing right here.
Well, you should
Nothing
probably
exists without this.
You should probably fix it then because it has a habit of dying.
It does have a habit of dying at the moment, which is not good. But that's just the power. That's British power. I'm blaming that. It's not my precious. That's working perfectly fine, as proven. We're talking on it, and it looks like it's recording anyway. There's lots of flashy lights on it.
So we're kind of hoping it is.
Well, I mean, is it such a crime that three friends can just sit and have a chat without microphones?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, it'd be far easier to do this over text, wouldn't it?
Pretty much. Nowadays it would be anyway.
Chat, yeah.
Now you don't have to pay for texts now.
I mean, how about we do that? We just do everything over a group text, and then I use like an AI thing to create three AI characters that then
the
talk
podcast
forward.
is literally just keynotes, hitting the sounds of keynotes.
Yeah.
No, of course, three friends could do this, but without the microphones, let's be honest, we'd be sat in a beer garden somewhere.
That is true.
This is starting to sound a little bit more enjoyable than sitting in
actually
a boiling
podcasting.
hot room.
I mean, do you reckon one of the
I love podcasting, don't get me wrong, but sitting in a beer garden in this weather with a nice beer. Although, I'm not going to lie, ever since we got back from Expo, all I've drunk is mead because of that damn stand that was there. And don't get me wrong, it's very, very nice mead. And
There literally is a bottle on his desk behind him.
there's not much of it left, right? I've only done about half
Fair
of it.
amount. There's still 3/4 to go.
Yeah, there you go. So,
He drank the core of it before we came, James.
yeah, that isn't the second bottle.
You really are stressed for Wimbledon, aren't you?
That will not last the first week. I can tell you that.
I
I have to stay up there for 12 hours, so I might even take it with me. So,
am.
So yeah, no, I'm not looking forward to that at all. But yeah, James.
Yep.
What are you going to do with my baby that is this podcast?
Well, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Oh, are you ready? How do you feel about this? Because we know what the overall subject is, but is he going to ask us some questions that we're not prepared for?
Kind of feel bad that he's not going to be on the list, but I mean, if he's going to throw questions at us, I've been quite intrigued, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you've prepared for the questions, I'd be very impressed, because I haven't prepared for the questions, because the way we've decided to do this is in the format of a top 5, and I don't know what's on your lists. So until I hear what you're talking about, I can't
come up
ask
with a
you
question there and there.
This is very true. Well, let's hope
Which is what a host would do.
Let's hope that your powers of winging it are up to standard as your first attempt at hosting something as global as this.
I mean, Jason, you should know by now that my powers of winging it are unsurpassed.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but we'll go with it for now. We'll go with it for now. But are you nervous?
He's got
That's
this,
what
man.
I want to know.
You got this.
I got this, man.
Yeah? All right.
Hand it over then.
I don't think he can handle the buttons.
No.
He can't handle the buttons. But what I will do is I will prepare, because I've just realised I haven't actually prepared the buttons
So swap them over now.
to do stuff.
To be fair, I turned down the buttons, and it's not the buttons, it's the sliders, because I would sit there going, volume goes up, volume goes down, volume goes up.
That goes up, that goes down.
That's the worst thing, is I know he would be doing that.
Especially when Jason was talking, it's like, fade up.
I mean, what I'm more worried about here, Ant, is the effort I'm going to have to put in the editing. I mean, maybe as a host, James should have to do all the editing.
No, do you know what? I think he's going to do a fantastic job, mate. I reckon he can be host multiple times after this episode.
Okay. Well,
but what is the episode about first? We haven't actually said yet.
Exactly. I'm just before we do, on your head bit, you're the one that said that you could do this. I'm holding.
I think he can. I have faith in him for once. But then I am a kind of a co-host with him, so hopefully if it was roles were reversed, he'd be like, "And you've got this as well." So I'm supporting him.
Well, I would hope that you'd be able to do it, considering you host your own show as well.
That's not. Yeah, don't throw that at me. Don't throw that. Come on.
Secretly, what we don't know is James is actually in a costume. It's actually like Joe Rogan under there.
Yeah.
So he just
get your cigars out, Joe.
The best thing is he doesn't even know who Joe Rogan is.
I do know who Joe Rogan is.
Right, James. So tell the good people out there in the world of digital media, listening people type stuff. Excellent. Very professional.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are we talking about?
So we are talking, this is a top 5 list, games that didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah. Or expectations and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the same category. Hype, expectations, the whole shebang.
Yeah. So, what was the premise behind this one, James? So is there a premise?
The premise, well, the reason I am not participating with my own list is mostly because you pre-filter the games that I play.
I do. I'm very, very nice. I remove the BS.
He does. So he's like my personal filter.
I am indeed. To be fair, Ant does it as well. You know, because it's not only my games that we play, right?
Yes, indeed.
True.
Like there is potential. The more and more we play, we've got more games that I'm going to. Before we went on the air, we were talking. There is the next installment in the Nemesis franchise, for example. Mm-hmm. I am absolutely hyped for that, but at the same time, worried that it won't live up to the first one, which is probably still my most favorite game ever.
Yeah,
you're talking about Retaliation.
Yeah. So that's one that is up and coming that might well end up on this list.
Yeah.
But for now, because you pre-filter them, I haven't really got any, whereas I know you two have. So I have taken on the role of host for this one.
Okay. So, I mean...
So will you play that before James plays it? Or are you going to play it opening day when it arrives, mate, and be like, have at it, James?
Yeah, I think we might have to. We might even have to get James to do the video for that one.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we'll see. Stick a camera right in his face. That'll put him off.
James has to do the review episode all on his own.
Yeah. While we're standing and watching him in person, putting him off.
Trying not to distract him for now.
So very quickly, before we dive into our top 5, Dan, I want to ask you how you found the list. Did you actually find it quite difficult to do?
Yeah, well, I already had a couple out of the 5. I had 2 out of the 5 already picked.
Yeah.
And then when I actually thought about it, I was kind of in the same situation as James, whereas when I play games, it's either games you've introduced or the guys from Board Stupid have introduced me or the guys from Laser Podcast have introduced me. So it was very hard to like say this was either disappointing or didn't live up to it. And I had to really think about the list for this. I'm not saying I hate these games or anything like that at all. I would still play them. I just don't think whoever showed them to me, sold them to me well enough.
Yeah.
And there was a couple on there that I found on my own. So it wasn't just like other studios have shown me this. A couple of them I found myself and thought, okay, maybe this won't live up or get to the table enough.
Yeah.
So
okay, fair enough. Because I know this list has been through, or the premise around this episode has been through a couple of incantations. Like when I first suggested it to you, I was in a particularly bad mood, and I think it was along the lines of...
I think it was disappointing full stop, wasn't it?
I think the very first one was games that just totally suck.
Yes, yeah.
And then I'll be honest,
we filtered it more as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If I was doing that list, I don't think I could do it.
No.
Because I don't think I
can get 5 that totally sucked anyway.
No. If I really thought about it, I might get 1 or 2.
Yeah,
that's at a push.
Yeah.
So, it's come down a bit since then, and, just games that didn't live up to the expectations. So for me, doesn't necessarily mean these games are bad.
Yeah.
But they just didn't hit the lofty heights I'd set for them, or other people had set for them, or the industry as a whole had set for these things. So that's where I've come from.
Yeah.
On this one. So is that what you wanted to hear, James? That's the real question. Excellent. So are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
Are you ready? I'm going to let you count us down. Do you want me to press the button, James?
Press the button.
Press the button. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the countdown.
So who's going first?
Who would like to go first?
We need something like you have on your show, don't we, where we actually roll a dice. I think we might have to do something like that. Who's going to be the first player?
Well, no, I mean, do you want to... Well, you're the one who stepped down now, so do you want to go last?
Does this mean I'm the noob?
Yeah, you've stepped down now. The roles have reversed. James is in charge, so I say James should pick who goes first.
James, who's going first?
You're going first.
Excellent,
there we go.
Because that means when I go back to hosting, I don't have to go first. Excellent stuff.
So right. James will never host again now.
I've forgotten which order the buttons are in again.
It's all right. You can edit it.
We can edit it if need be. So I am starting with my number 5.
Yeah, I got it right. Let's try, baby.
Big claps for me. Right. Okay. So I am going to come in with... Now, this one has actually been on and off the list a couple of times with a couple of my honourable mentions later. Because I just couldn't decide which one I wanted to put on here. But I've finally settled... Mainly because you guys arrived. So I couldn't change it anymore. This one is... It's a hard one because I think the game had a lot of promise. It had some good names behind it. It's a good publisher. It's a good designer. But for me, it just fell really, really flat. I couldn't get into the theme. I don't think the theme was represented all that well within the game. And that is... Pandasaurus Games, The Fox Experiment.
Ooh.
So, yes, coming hot out the gates with this one. I'm just going to say it's not a bad game. It's just not necessarily for me. It's got some interesting mechanics to it. I know, and you've played this one, haven't you?
Yeah, I've played it a couple times yet.
Where you've got like the dice mechanic, and that's pretty cool. I like the gimmick of naming your own pups and... the idea of wanting to breed the best pups in order to get some kind of superhuman fox that's going to like take over the world sort of type deal. And it all sounds really cool, but I just didn't gel with it at all.
Yeah,
I've played this a few times, right? I've not only played this once or twice. The first time I played it, I found it okay. It was all right. It was in the... Yeah, this is all right. It's better than average, I guess.
But you needed another play for a final answer.
But I wanted another few plays, and I've played that a few times. I've played it with different groups and all of that. But ever since that first play, it's just been very flat, very linear, very...
grounded.
Yeah, I just felt like I've done the same thing in all of these games. I don't see any kind of special thing going on here. And this is obviously this is Elizabeth Hargrave, isn't it? So it's like
From Wingspan?
from Wingspan.
Is it?
And
Yeah.
it's just sort of like, I don't mind Wingspan. Again, I would probably say that's another game that's a bit too overhyped, but I don't mind it. I do enjoy Wingspan. And I just think I was expecting a bit more with this one.
Yeah, this was very, very hyped game.
Yeah.
When the top before it came out, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, because if I remember, I might be wrong, but I believe this was the first game after Wingspan.
yeah, because this was like one of the big ones when I was at Essen, people were just trying to get a sit down thing with it,
Yeah.
and was very like Terminus at UKG was just like the queue was horrendous just to get a demo of it. It was very, very hyped up. But yeah, I'm surprised it's on the list, mate. To be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the key thing for me. It felt very linear, very textbook, and I kind of felt like I was in a lesson more than anything.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I would happily play this in school, like trying to learn about
Foxes.
the foxes and the actual experiments that they did and the breeding program that they did. That's really cool. It's nice. It's a nice and educational game, but I didn't feel like there was much of a game
and gelled with you
per
with it,
se.
right?
So yeah, there you go.
So this isn't one that I've played. Is this one that you self-hyped or that someone else was like saying, oh, you got to play this game, you got to play this game, and then when you sat down...
Yeah. So I would say that it's kind of a mixture of everything, right? There's a lot of people that were hyping the game. I was obviously doing my research. I got hyped for the game as well. Like I said, it's coming from a big name. Pandasaurus at the time had a pretty good reputation with putting out some good games. And I was just like, you know what, this looks like this should be a very good game. I liked the theme, the idea of the theme. It was new. It was a fresh idea. You know, Elizabeth Hargrave sticking with animals, fair enough. That's her passion. I quite like the artwork for it as well. So yeah, I think on this one, it would be a combination of me hyping something as well as others.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know a lot of people that we know enjoy this game. I know a lot of people that go to my game club that enjoy this game. I know a few other game groups that enjoy this game. But just for me, nah.
Yeah, well, we have said in other episodes as well that sort of like theme is very important. And if it doesn't speak to you, it can taint a game, even if there's actually nothing wrong with the game itself. If that theme doesn't talk to you, then you're almost half clocked out before the game.
Before you even started,
Do you know what? I think the easiest way I can try and sum this up for me, how this game felt and more how dejected the theme really is for me, was it felt very much like an old school Euro game, you know, where it's just sort of like, oh, I'm going to put some cubes here and I'm going to take some cubes from here. And just to make things different, I'm going to claim some cubes from here. Cubes, moving some cubes. It's boring, right? Yeah. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say it's as boring as something like that, you know, but it's not much better.
Yeah.
It's not much better. Yeah, the excitement is rolling the dice and going, what can I make out of this dice? What can I make out of this dice? And that's it. That's where the game is. And it's all luck, you know, and then it's like, claiming the foxes in the next round. It's like, well, I've made this amazing fox, and now someone else has taken it, you know, which is understandable. That's the game, right? Yeah, but sometimes it's just sort of like a lot of the time I felt very hard up on being able to do much because I was more often than not getting the dog ends, if you know what I mean. Like, Not great, you know, and that, as I said, that's not just one game. That's over a long period. Sometimes I did well, sometimes I did bad. But yeah, that's it for me. I don't want to hate on it too much because, again, it's not a bad game. Just
didn't fit you. Yeah, and everyone's entitled to their opinion on stuff like that. So not everyone should be the same when it comes to games and stuff like that. So.
No, exactly. So yeah, that's number 5 for me, The Fox Experiment by Pandasaurus Games.
Okay. Nice. Anthony. Your number 5.
My number 5, I can't remember who the studio that does this, but my number 5 is Return to Dark Tower.
I don't know this one.
So Return to Dark Tower is a remake of an 80s board game that came out mid-80s, I believe, and it's very much based on Stephen King's novels, The Dark Tower, of course. And it's basically an adventure game with a massive tower smack bang in the middle of the board. And this version is all Bluetoothed and stuff. So when you put dice down, it registers it and comes out in different ways. Long story short, it's an adventure game where you play as a barbarian, an elf, a mage, whatnot. It's only a 4-player game. And you're essentially going around trying to, I'm trying to think of the word now, get rid of evil on a certain part of land on the board. And the board is massively rounded like a crocodile-shaped board. The problem with this game for me was that it's app-based. It's an app-based game. You have to have the app to run this game. And the thing is, when you attack in this game, you need certain tokens to claim an attack or use an attack and say, right, now to attack this guy, you need to discard so many of these tokens to attack this such and such, whatever. At the time, because this was a couple of years ago when I played this and owned this game, it was kind of broken, the app. So I could have put down, right, there's 5 tokens, and you put it down on the app, but the app never registers it. Yeah. So it can't say on your turn, well, you can't do that. You don't have that many tokens there. So you could essentially just keep, I'll sod it. I'll bake this guy and just do that. Not only that, it is a son of a gun to bring to the table. It is one of those games where we have our Wednesday nights.
Yep.
What do we do? Sometimes 2, maybe 3 at push. Sometimes we get games in. This one would be here till 12 o'clock at night by the time we start. With rule explaining, setup and whatnot, it was just one of those ones that I had very high expectations for. And it is a fantastic game, but it's a game that needs a lot of effort. And that's why it's a bit of a disappointment for me on that. And it's a shame because when I had it, it was very hyped up, and now it's being reprinted again and it's getting sold out straight away or whatnot. So I'm hoping the app is fixed. I would love to play it again, but it is a very, very expensive game. It's like nearly $160 retail at the time. So I'd have to put that in my number 5 because I was so looking forward to that. And I think I got it to the table maybe twice, and it sat on my shelf for 2 years and I got rid of it.
Sorry. I was just going to say I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I know it was a very hyped game. Restoration Games.
Restoration, thank you very much.
Which, I mean, they always do a really good job at restoring old games. Yeah. And from what I've seen of the game, it's got really good quality, though, hasn't it?
Yes, it does, yeah. I believe there is another box you can get for the upscale of the enemies, because the enemies just come in little paperback token looking things. But you can actually get the figures as an upgrade if you want to spend the money for it. But it is a gorgeous looking game. It's just one of those ones where it's like playing D&D, but not as detailed, of course, but you need the audience for it. And I just don't have that audience that was willing to play at the time. So yeah, that would probably have to be my number 5.
Yeah. So would you, if you had to nail it down, would you say it was more the setup / playtime that sort of turned you off it, or that broken app?
I'd say the setup more over the app, because I'm sure, like you said, they probably updated the app by now. Yeah. Because I believe that was in a bunch of the reviews at the time when it came out. But the setup alone, rule explaining, because it's one of those ones where, do you remember when you played Nemesis for the first time, you kept going back to the book? Yeah. You just kept going back because you couldn't, I'm not sure if you can do that or if you need a certain token to do that. So that's, so I would say more setup and rule explaining is a nuisance of it. Yeah,
I will say app-based games in general make me very nervous. Yeah. Because if that app is integral to the game, if they don't keep it updated, your game dies.
Yeah, because I was sort of misled on the app part. I thought the app was just to control the tower itself, which is very clever how it does it and opens its doors and stuff like that. But I didn't realize you actually had to log in where you go, who you're attacking, what you're collecting, what dungeon you're going through and stuff. Yeah. There is a lot to do in this game, and you really need the patience for it.
You're essentially playing an app game with some hardware.
Pretty much, basically, yeah. But it is a gorgeous game. I mean, it has one hell of a table presence as well.
Yeah, see, I kind of felt that way about, I think it was the, I don't know, we definitely differ on this opinion, but I felt the same about, was it Mansions of Madness?
I love Mansions of Madness,
that went heavily on the app.
That's right, yeah.
And it was just like, I would take the analog one any day,
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't U-Boat. U-Boat was the same, wasn't it? You required the app. And I think that I can't remember if it is U-Boat that's my example of why I get very nervous about app-based games, because I think not only has it got to be, like you said, is the actual software got to be work correctly, but if they don't update it to work with the latest phones, in a two or 3 years, like I said, your game's practically worthless if they go, we're not updating to the latest version of Android or
Apple.
Apple.
For that game, they have.
Yeah,
It's now not supported.
Yeah, so it's just sort of like, the game doesn't work without that app.
Yeah.
So you've just got a bunch of useless cardboard
Pretty
now because
much,
you can't play your game.
Yeah. That's a shame because, again, I'd heard really good things about Return to Dark Tower and, again, fond memories because I played Dark Tower when I was much younger.
Sure, okay.
The original, I can't remember a lot about it, but I do remember playing it.
Yeah.
For when we were talking about games we played as kids,
Yeah.
there's a reason it wasn't on my list because I remember playing it, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
And, I remember seeing them announcing, we're going to return to Dark Tower. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then they were like, and it's going to have all these amazing components. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it was the announcement of that app. It was like, that's me gone.
That's you gone
I'm
now,
done.
yeah.
I can't bring myself to get involved with games that have apps.
Like I
especially
said,
with my own money.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, mate, there is a great game in there. You just need the right audience and the right amount of patience for it, and you'll be fine. But for me and the experience I had, it was a bit of a letdown.
And there's some hardcore people that live by that game.
100%, mate.
Like Gloomhaven and stuff like that. It's a lifer.
Yeah,
a game, isn't it? Or a grail game is what they call it nowadays, isn't it? That's
it. My number 5.
Number 5. Very nice. Are we ready to move on to the number 4s?
Let's move on to number 4s.
All right. Am I permitted to press the button?
Press the button.
He's pointing at the button.
So,
Jason, number 4. Please.
Number 4. Okay, so this one was a real downer for me. And I know it was for you as well, James. So I think you might have forgotten this game.
Okay.
Because I reckon this would have been on your list should you have done this.
Okay.
This thing here. So, I know
is this one of those games that you're going to say the title and I'm just going to go, oh.
More than likely, because I think you've only played it once. Now, I've tried to avoid games that I've only played once.
Yeah.
I have played this multiple times. I think I played this 6 times in total because I was insistent that I would like this game because I loved its predecessor. I loved the theme of this game. So the two of those things together says, you should love this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. It really angered me and it didn't survive in my collection because I backed this on Kickstarter solely on all of that. And it is Alley Cat Games Dice Theme Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, this one has gone from the collection.
I'm intrigued because I quite enjoyed Dice Hospital. So what was the big difference?
That's exactly it, right? Yeah. I actually like Dice Hospital.
Yeah, I do.
I really love theme parks. We talked about this when we were talking about Unfair.
Yeah.
We're all theme park fans here. Mm-hmm. I actually loved is a bit strong, but I really, really liked Dice Hospital. And the logic is that I should have loved this. And I got so excited for it. And I think the problem is this was one I backed on crowdfunding.
Okay.
And I think half the problem here is the games take so long to arrive that hype does somewhat die down.
Slow down, yeah.
But then when it arrives, you get that instant, oh yeah, there's a massive boost to the hype. I think if it didn't have that boost, I might have liked it.
Okay.
But I think that's the problem is it arrived and I went, oh my God, yeah, I forgot about this. And I'm now really hyped to play it. And then I played it and it was like, it sort of, again, doesn't really work for audio, but it's up here is the hype. And then
it's quite high, guys, by the way.
It's quite high. And then it sort of hit, head height is the hype. Okay. And then it hit at chin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So is there a massive difference between the two games then?
There's a little bit of difference. So obviously in the theme park one, you're sort of building out much the same as you built your hospital. But certain rides, I guess it's kind of like Meeple Land in a way. Certain rides can only take
not played that either,
certain things. And it just didn't work.
Okay.
Really, because your meeples had to move around from what I remember. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. I remember not liking it, but I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say I remember vividly is that rulebook sucked. So yeah, that's
typical Kickstarter rulebook, was it?
Yeah. Which again, with Alley Cat Games, I expected more.
Right.
Well, I have a good gaming relationship, if you like, with Alley Cat Games. You know, I've talked about this a few times. They nearly always release a game that I want to buy at UK Games Expo, if not more than one. And I think if I hadn't backed it on crowdfunding, Dice Theme Park would have been one of those games.
Yeah.
But I'd already backed it and all that, so I didn't need to buy it at the show. But yeah, I just don't think the new mechanisms that they kind of tried to incorporate with it, you know, with the moving of the meeples around a park, sort of like Dinosaur World with the Jeeple.
Yes, yeah.
You had that mechanism
right
involved with meeples moving around.
Okay.
Whereas, you know, you talk about like Meeple Land, where once you've built your park with your polyomino style play, your meeples sit on a ride. Right. Because it's a space. It's a space to hold meeples. Right. You know. So it's more representative of, you know, capacity of a theme park. Whereas this one, no, they wanted you to move stuff around and then trigger effects, which then might trigger other effects. And, you know, it's kind of got like a little bit of an engine buildery type deal to it as well. Yeah. And it was very... It
sounds pretty good, I'll be honest.
It sounds pretty good, but it was very janky.
Right.
That, I think, that's the word I think I've been looking for. It is a very janky game engine. And I didn't click with it. A few people did, but again, a lot of the people I was playing with were just like, this just, it's not as good. It's not as good. You know, and it's meant to be a bit more worker placement than it is anything else. And I didn't really get much worker placement.
Yeah,
from
that's my takeaway, of what I remember. My takeaway being, it's like Dice Hospital was very much what not so much worker placement, but it's like it's patient placement. It's like they need to go in the right place.
You kind of had the worker placement and your dice manipulation and you know, things that all worked nicely together. Little bits of mechanic all working together.
It didn't feel. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. I can't really put into words what was wrong with it, but yeah, it's just all the different mechanisms just didn't gel.
Yeah.
I think you've described the game perfectly, though. Janky.
Yeah. Now, I will say at this point that for the few times that I did play this, when I was doing the teach, I will hold my hands up and say, if I got it wrong, then that's on me. The game could well be a lot better. Yeah. But as I said, I did not find the rulebook particularly good. It wasn't particularly great at explaining what you should and shouldn't be doing at times. There wasn't, from what I remember, a good FAQ or anything like that. And I remember a few comments online of going, well, how's this work? How's this work? How's this work? You know, it's like, well, shouldn't really be having to ask that. That should be in the rulebook. And yeah, again, I talked to a lot of people, lots of different groups, and it seems to be a very clear message that everyone kind of felt the same way. And I don't hear the game talked about now. I constantly see copies of it for sale online, and it's not one of these games that has been holding its price. I see it selling for dirt cheap. I think when I sold mine, I struggled to get 20 quid for it, and I had the deluxe version.
Right.
So yeah.
That bad that people didn't want to fork up with the deluxe. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, the deluxe version was lovely. Those they gave you the sort of the totally not Disney monorails for the dice to come in on.
Monorail.
But yeah, they just again, it's another game that just fell flat.
But at least it's not you that's felt this way. You've got a whole audience of people, like you've just said, who wouldn't even willing to buy it. It just goes to show that this game is anonymous with the
and unlike the Fox Experiment and the Dark Tower. You know, those games I still hear people talking about. There's still a following for them.
But you don't hear about
Dice Theme Park is not that old. You know, I want to say it was last Expo, so about a year ago.
Yeah.
I reckon this game come out.
Better theme park builders.
Yeah.
But yeah, so similar to the question I asked Ant on his last one, realistically, do you think that the less than stellar reception you got for that game came from that, what's the word to describe it, that delivery boost, or do you think it is that poorly executed rulebook, which meant that you couldn't learn the game properly, which meant it's diminished your first play? Because that first play is quite important.
Yeah. Now, this one, when it comes, referring to your question for the last game, and you asked where the hype came from, this one, solely me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I loved I keep using the word love Dice Hospital. Clearly I did, because my body wants to say I loved it. But really, really liked Dice Hospital. I loved how it worked, and I liked the simplicity of it. That's what led me to this one, and the theme. So that could add to the hype when I open the packet.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this. Instant joy. But I have always said a bad rule book is going to get me off on the wrong foot. And if I'm off on the wrong foot, it's an uphill battle to get me back.
Yeah.
And a lot of games now, I've taught myself nowadays that if I find a rule book is particularly bad, then I don't necessarily need to get rid of the game. I just need to not play it that day.
Yeah.
Because if I play it right after I've tried to learn the game from a bad rule book, you're on that uphill struggle. Whereas if I've learnt the game on Monday, had a really nasty time with it, and we come back to it on a Wednesday, that game has got a better chance at being good.
And if I remember correctly, Dice Theme Park was one of those games where you actually had a better reception of it on Tabletop Simulator.
Correct. On Board Game Arena.
Board Game Arena, that's the one.
Yep, I fairly enjoyed it on that. Where a lot of things are done for you, obviously.
Yep.
Because the rules are built into the coding. So that would, I guess, lead me on to thinking that maybe a lot of my displeasure about the game really was stemming from that rulebook.
Yeah.
That being said, I have not played it on BGA in probably 10 and a half months, 11 months at this point. So I'm not missing it.
It does link back into our golden rule of 3 plays because, always makes me chuckle that we almost collectively put Ark Nova on this list when we first played it, and it took that golden rule of 3 plays for it to click and us to go, now I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But thank you for that one, Jason.
No
Anthony, your
Hang on,
number...
before we do that, sorry, James. I'm not hosting, but I got to ask you a question. How many Kickstarters do you kickstart to forget that a game is coming?
I'd rather not answer that question.
Sorry, James, go for it.
I'm trying to get rid of the super backer thing on this.
To be fair, this is something I find quite common when I hear people talking about Kickstarters, is random packages turning up and people going, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I haven't quite got onto the 2 of the same game turning up yet.
Unreal.
Haven't you almost? I mean, it doesn't technically count that you did it, but haven't you and Layla accidentally backed to the same thing? I'm sure it's happened once.
It has happened, yeah. But obviously, myself and my partner don't live together.
Yeah.
And she obviously looks at things like that as well. And she backed a game and I'd backed a game.
I remember.
And we were talking about it as like, well,
I remember,
one of us might as well cancel.
I do remember her saying that she sent it here. There was one game that turned up where she said you opened it and then you had a mini fight over whose it actually was.
I don't remember that. It's possible. Nay, probable. I can't say I remember that, but...
Is it because she won?
Yeah. My family.
Yep.
That's what it was. My family. We both own that. Or did. I don't own that anymore.
Never played it.
Me neither.
Anyway, moving on. Anthony, number 4, please.
My number 4 is going to be short and sweet because I ain't ever played this game once.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, I was super hyped to play this game, but this is going to be CGE's Deal with the Devil.
Yes, we talked about this, didn't we? Then because we were going to play it with you, but I remember...
And there's a reason for why we didn't.
Yeah, you played it. If I remember, did you play this at Essen?
No. So
you didn't.
So I bought this at Essen. This was the game I wanted to come home with when I went to Essen. I was not going to leave Essen without this game. And then we come back and played it, and it was totally not what I expected it to be. So before I went to Essen, I had to do an episode with Board Stupid. That's who I went with to Essen with, and we were talking about what games we were looking forward to. I knew nothing about Essen. It's like going to UKG for the first time. I knew nothing about what was going to be there, So they were like, here, go on this website. This is what's showing you what's coming out. Have a look through and do a top 5 last minute. And I picked that because I really like the idea of like dealing with someone who could possibly be the devil and then trying to figure him out through the game. So played it. And we played it with around Wayne's house, and our friend Nick sat there for just under an hour trying to go through the rules and everything because there's no way I was learning this thing. There's way too much to it. And the reason we never played it is because you need 4 players exactly to play. And there's always 3 of us. Always. Yeah. So we could never play that game full stop anyway. But anyway, the game is essentially a village building game, but with mechanics of making deals with people to earn better resources, and one of them could possibly be stealing your soul and being the devil. Again, there is a app to this, but it's not app-based, if that makes sense. The app is simply there just to scan your little treasure chest, and it picks who the devil is at the start. Yeah. And they get scanned and you pass them on to whoever. Very cool mechanic on that. But like you said earlier on, Jason, there was something about this game that just did not click with me. I was expecting more of a social deduction element to it, and it's only a fraction of that game is social deduction. The rest of it is literally a village builder and doing all these other deals and then trying to build this thing, but you can't because you're struggling to do this and you've got other little soldiers on your board and stuff. There is so much more to this game. And it was just, for me, I wanted it to be, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I wanted it to be a little bit more simpler for what it was.
Yeah. You were expecting a social deduction game and it wasn't.
Yeah. It's social deduction with, like, you know, a heavy social deduction game to it. But then when it come up as 4 player only, and then it says on the box 4 players exactly, I was just like, well, okay, there goes the big group aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
Or a short group like us, for example. So it's a very in-between game to have that amount of players for it.
I remember all the marketing for it. And it was marketed as a social deduction game.
It was absolutely huge. And it's just like, I was so hyped up for this game. I was so ready for it. And I played it once. And I thought maybe I'll play it again. And you know what? I saw it there and I looked it on my shelf day after day. And I'm like, I just don't like this game. There's something about it. And then this is what I'm going back to. We've done an episode about what we look for in games and stuff. And I don't think since Lost Stories of Arnak, CG has done a really good game since. And this is the part where I'm trying to get out with. It doesn't take a studio to just say this game is going to be good, you know? And it was very marketed differently and whatnot. So for me, I just couldn't click with it at the time. It's like I'm on the bar with SETI at the moment. It's like, it looks great, but is the game actually that good?
I'm right there with you on that one. Like we obviously saw
absolutely
saw it at UKGE, and then I'm just sort of like, it's a beautiful game, but is it any good?
Exactly. So, I mean, last year's CGE game was very similar to Deal with the Devil, but without the social deduction aspect to it. Just don't care, man. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, it's short and sweet for this one because I think it's fairly self-evident. The reason why it's fallen flat for you is you've read the blurb for the game, kind of assumed it was one kind of game, turned out it wasn't, which is...
Yeah, it felt very, very rushed to get hyped for this game, and it was just like, I saw it, I was like, I want to come home with this game at Essendon. So, and then that was it. Brought it home, no.
It's kind of like reading, I guess, a blurb on a DVD for an action film, and you put it in the DVD player, and it's a romance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like you talking about Fox Experiment. Like, it has fantastic mechanics in it, but that doesn't make the game at the end of the day.
No.
So...
Yeah, especially if you've already formed a picture in your mind of what this game is going to be. Like you said, this is very much self-hype. It's like, oh, this game's really good. I'm already picturing this game and how it's going to play and how my friends are also going to enjoy it. And then you sit down and play it and go, oh, this game's not what I thought it was.
Yep, 100%. And that's why number 4.
Yeah, no, totally understand that one.
Nice. Shall we move on to number 3?
Number 3 is Jason, please. What have you got for us in number 3, Jason?
Okay, James. So this is another one that you have played. And I'm actually joining Ant on this one because I have only played this game once. Which I really, really tried to avoid putting a game on here that I'd only played once. But I really just did not click with this game at all. And James, obviously, the game I played was with yourself, and that was The Hunger Games Mockingjay.
Oh, yes, I definitely remember this one. I can't say that...
It's like a big box thing you had.
It was.
Yeah.
I wasn't hyped for it because I didn't... This was, when we played this was at the gaming club, and I was very, very, very new to modern board gaming at this point.
Yeah. I wasn't much better than you now. So this one, for a little bit of context... I believe it was River Horse Games that produced this one. Now, they have got a pretty okay track record with doing IP-based games. I backed this one on crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And it was one of my earlier ones on crowdfunding. So I was still backing everything under the sun. Now, this one stood out to me because I was like, I quite like the Hunger Game films. I know that they're not the best. Come at me. I enjoy them, you know. It was based on, I believe, the very last film where the rebels are storming the Capitol to take over the Capitol. I was like, okay, cool. That sounds like a good theme. I personally would have gone with the actual Hunger Games as a theme.
Right.
And had the players fighting each other within the arena. That, I think, would have worked better.
Yeah, that I remember was my takeaway after we played it, was like, for a game based on the Hunger Games, why is it not the Hunger Games?
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, as you said, it should have been a good game. It was basically an area control strategy game based on the war to take the capital.
Yes.
But one of you playing as the rebels, one of you playing as the capital.
Yeah. And essentially, the game ended up being dudes on a map, basically Risk.
Yeah.
And not much more.
And that's a Risk version of Hunger Games?
It's not a Risk version of Hunger Games. It's a standalone game, but that is basically what it was.
Not as well explained, because I remember that was another one where the rulebook was trash.
That was a proper early Kickstarter rulebook, that one.
Well, that's a shame, considering you like them films and stuff. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I'll give them the credit. The production was fantastic.
I remember it being hideously... again, I don't know if it's because we were playing it wrong, because the rulebook really was terrible, but it was so badly skewed in favour of the capital, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah. Which is weird, because actually when you're referring to the film that it's adapting...
Yeah.
Was the other way around, right? The rebels were the more powerful force.
It is, but it's a game at the end of the day. It needs to be balanced.
Yeah, it should be, I will come out and give it the positives as well. Like, the production was fantastic. The board was amazing. It was a nice large board. They had really nice reinforced joints on those bends.
Right.
Which is something I think far more companies need to do. Yeah. Because... it's a hinge. It's going to give way eventually. A paper one at that, And the miniatures that were in it, because you had really nice 32mm miniatures of the actual film characters. So they had all the rights to, Katniss Everdeen, was it Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence. So Jennifer Lawrence and, all of the other people that were in the actual films. They had all the licenses for that. So you had proper miniatures of these people.
Yeah, the capital airships, which represent the capital, were beautiful. I remember those. So the production in it was brilliant. It's just a shame that rulebook was awful.
Yeah, and like I said, the game itself was like, once you learnt the game, it wasn't a hard one to learn. But the whole time I was like, it's Risk. That's all this is. It's Risk with special miniatures.
Yeah. And did you expect, because it being a Hunger Games franchise, you expected more out of it, like an actual game that's original game, not something that they've copied off of another mechanical?
Essentially, yeah, I think I did. And like I said, when I backed it, I backed it because I saw Hunger Games. I love the films. I'm backing every game there is going at the moment. I've heard of River Horse. They're good. Yeah, I'll back it.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually looked at the game. So that's on me.
Yeah.
Right, that is on me. But when it turned up, it's like, right, okay, I've got this. Let's play it. I was still fairly, not new, but where, James was greener than green at the time.
Right.
Whereas I'd been sort of in the hobby, board game hobby for 1-2 years at that point.
Okay, yeah.
But I was still, I would argue, green, because I hadn't done, the big games that everyone plays. I was still in the very lightweight, maybe medium weight at a push.
Right.
And this was a lightweight game. But it was just meaningless drivel, unfortunately. That's really how it felt. I would have played Risk over it any day.
Oh, wow.
I might have taken the miniatures out of it and used them on Risk.
Yeah, sure.
It was nice to have the little 15mm guards as well as like the supporting faction. So you had those nice 32mm miniatures of the characters. Then your supporting characters, rather than being cubes or tokens, you actually had 15mm characters, which, God, I will never attempt to paint 15mm characters ever again. That was a mistake. But yeah, like the little airships, they were fantastic, about the same sort of size as like the X-Wing ones. You know, I had real great fun painting all this stuff.
Okay.
But that's where it was. That's all it was. It became a very nice painted set that I ended up passing on. It's sat in my collection for ages, but much like Dice Theme Park, the Hunger Games game was it went in wave 1 of my cull, and I don't think it would have ever had a chance of making it to wave 2.
It's such a shame because it's a franchise that you really adore as well, and you don't get what you wanted out of it as well. But
I definitely think it's one of those games after playing it where I was like, even though I was wholly green to this hobby in general, is if I had that IP, I would have done this with it. And I would do it. The idea is funny because it's just popped into my head now that I'm far more experienced of the kind of game it would be, is I was expecting more of an unmatched style game within the arena.
Yeah, I mean, something like that would work.
But the first one.
Yeah.
So, dear Unmatched, can we have a Hunger Games set, please?
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
I mean, this was the other thing, I guess, when you were sort of really thinking, when the campaign for this actually hit, you know, the Mockingjay film was out 5-6 years before that.
Right.
So it was just kind of like...
So they had the time to come up with their own game, essentially.
It seems like a really weird time to be doing a game based on a film that, you know, is over 5 years old at this point, and no one talks about it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Harry Potter where, the last film came out donkeys years ago, but we're still talking about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's Hunger Games finished. It was big while it was out. They did 4 films, I think?
Yeah.
Because it was a trilogy, but then they split
the last one was in 2 parts, wasn't it? Yeah.
But that was it. You know, once it was over, the story finished.
Yeah.
We're done. And it's only recently that we've had a brand new Hunger Games movie, which is a prequel. I think that's the right terminology for a
yeah.
You know,
it is.
Before it was a prequel.
It is a prequel.
You know, and it's only now that we're hearing about it again, and it's only now that Hunger Games is being talked about again.
Yeah.
So will we see another Hunger Games game? I don't know. I don't think it's that big anymore.
And will you buy it straight away?
No. You've learned your lesson.
Yeah.
It's like I said, in all seriousness, it's like, aside from maybe a game like Unmatched doing a theme set, it's not worth it.
I would probably consider it if it was based in the arena of the Hunger Games, because that is what I said this game should have been.
Yeah, it could be a special set, you know, like you said, where you've got the arena, because in the films and the books, the arena actually does stuff as well, doesn't it? As well as the players trying to knock each other off. It's like the arena is actually fighting you to a degree as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for you, this is definitely a case for IP hype.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. IP hype. Like I said, I still watch the original films now. You know, bite me, come at me. I don't care. I like them. But yeah, this was IP hype. And again, this is one of those slap on my wrist, learn from my mistakes, actually look at a crowdfunding page.
Yeah.
Do your research. As we constantly say, this is one of the reasons why we constantly say it. This is one of my heavy regrets that I have from backing. New list in the future, no doubt. Top 5 crowdfunding regrets. Hint, hint.
That'll be another one I'm hosting then.
That'll be another one you're hosting, James. But yeah, I hate the fact that I disliked this game because I really wanted to like it.
Yeah.
It's a shame because the miniatures were wonderful. I would have loved to have gotten to the table.
Yeah, that whole piece of advice of do your research applies double, triple to IP based, because you get distracted very easily by that big IP title.
Absolutely. If something that said like Alien or Aliens written on it, I'd be like, I don't care, buying it straight away. I'll be in the same ballpark as you, mate.
Now you have 2 people to sit there and go, no, Ant.
I know, right?
Oh, no, I still egg him on.
Do your research. At least
he still eggs me on because he's like, we'll get an episode out of that.
Exactly. I've got to think about the content, right?
Think about the podcast, mate. It's what it's all about.
And the videos.
Yes,
we're doing them now too. Hey. Anyway, yes, that's me. The Hunger Games, Mockingjay. I believe it was River Horse Games.
Yep.
Nice.
So, Anthony, number 3, please.
Well, James, we are going to get our first clash of the night.
Clash.
And mine is Pandasaurus's Fox Experiment.
Oh, Oh, that's high.
It is high. Unfortunately, this game just did not click whatsoever. I think disappointing is not quite the word for it. I mean, I think overwhelmed is on this one because let's bring the hype factor in again. That was just like, you've got to play this, you've got to play this. That was, it's done by the lady who done Wingspan, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't mind Wingspan. I'll play it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it again. So this was just like, I don't really feel like I need to play it. I played it, and probably you can back me on this, Jason. So not only am I trying to deal with my dice pool, not only am I trying to deal with my male and female trying to mate and create cubs, not only am I trying to deal with charts on the board as well as other pieces on the board, it's just way too much coming at me on a turn. And that's what that felt like, this game to me. And you've got obviously on the dice you're trying to connect them to make a whole symbol in order to do other things and whatnot. And it has a great mechanic in it. Like you mentioned earlier, Jason, with the whole naming your pups and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's fine. But the mechanic's not strong enough for it to make it a good game. There's something about this. I sat there and thought, I don't think I'm ever going to want to play this again. I just did not click with it from the start. Maybe it's the theme, like James mentioned earlier. Maybe it's the game itself. It's just something about it. I just felt like, I'm going to play it just to get the hype over and done with, to say I've played it, because I will always give something a chance every time. Yeah. But after that, I just don't feel like I need to again. No.
So you basically hit the nail on the head there with what I was saying earlier about it being very linear.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a checklist.
It does.
I've got to do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and then they bugger off back to the centre and I've got to try and get them back.
And I felt like I was more concerned about doing this on my turn and then going back to the other charts on the board. You have other pieces on the board where you've got to move your pieces on certain parts and whatnot. And I was forgetting about that because I was more concerned about trying to name my pup something, and it just threw me off. And then I just felt like, you know what? It was just an experience I don't want to go through playing again, Like
I said, the naming the pup thing is just such a gimmick to me, because, how many times can you come up with a funny name? How many times can I say, this one's called Ian Malcolm, And
I can see how this game is going to fit with a certain audience. I mean, I'm not, bragging about it. You love what you love. If you like it, that's entirely up to you. Fantastic. But for me, the game did not click from the start.
No.
Yeah. So this for you is definitely everyone else is hyping this game up and I just don't see the fascination.
Yeah. I just don't think it lived up to the hype. I mean, the designer, for starters, it's done by the designer of Wingspan. Right. Now let's think of a movie directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's advertised Steven Spielberg's directed. Doesn't make it a great movie straight off the bat. He's made some great movies. Doesn't mean the next one will be a great game.
Yeah.
And that was the massive selling point of this game. And probably the only selling point was because she'd done it. And it, to me, just didn't live up to it.
Yeah.
That is fair. That is absolutely
short
fair.
but sweet. Fox Experiment number 3.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, I think we've talked a fair bit about it.
Exactly.
It's not exactly short and sweet, but we've said everything we need to say.
So,
what number are we on now?
Number 2.
Number 2. People out there won't have a clue what we're going on about with that.
Jason, can we have your number 2, please?
You can. Now, this one, you might accuse me of cheating on this one because it is not a game. It is
James. You're hosting, so you decide whether this is allowed.
I will be arbiter of this decision. Okay. Please continue.
It is an expansion for a game.
An expansion.
It is. I love, and I will use that terminology, love the base game.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like the expansion, Heavy Rain for Heat, Pedal to the Metal.
What? Whoa. Mind blown, sir. That's high.
Yeah.
You really don't like it that much? Or was disappointed with it, at least?
So,
I will allow it.
But it's good because I got nothing else.
I was going to say, there's no backup. So
I shall allow it, mainly because I agree with him.
Okay.
Completely.
Interesting. Okay. I wasn't sure whether you would, but...
So if you had a top 5, James, where would it be on your 5?
I actually think this one could possibly be my number 1.
Wow, guys. Okay. You love Heat as well.
We do. Yep. Yeah, we really do like Heat. Right, okay. So why is it, 1, on my list, and 2, why is it quite high? Number 2, it's very, very high on this list. And again, this is a combination of people hype, Jason hype, and just overall not living up to expectations, ironically being on this list. Because for me, as soon as that, like I said, I love the base game. As soon as they announced this expansion, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is an instant buy.
Yeah.
Don't even need to know what's coming in it. This is an instant buy. The base game is amazing. Oh, it's got 2 new maps. Fantastic. More content for Heat. Excellent. It's got an extra player. All right, I don't really need that because it's already got quite a high player count anyway.
But we knew that as well because they put the spaces in the base game box,
exactly,
ready for the extra players.
Much the same as we know that the next expansion is going to have someone in it because there's still space in the base game. So okay, we knew that was coming. All right, fine. You want to include it? Fine, whatever. The extra maps, that sounds awesome. There's a new mechanism in this one, or there's some cards in there that change an old mechanism. Cool, no problem. And then it went up for pre-order. The price was quite high, like not actually that much less than the
base game,
the actual base game,
Right.
And then we played it. And it was like, well, what's the heavy rain part about? Okay, cool. So we've got water on the track. Cool. Okay, how's that work? And it just didn't... like when you're playing Heat, you do feel like you're in a race, right?
Yep. Mm.
It's a proper racing game. When I'm thinking of like F1 racing and they're on a wet track, the whole driving style has to change.
Yep.
And, they've got to be more often than not, they'll be in the pit lane more because they need to change their tyres or they need to do this, they need to do that. I just didn't get that feeling from it. You got like the puddles on the track. Is like, okay, what do these do? Well, if you downshift in the puddle, you take an extra heat. Was that it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I just won't downshift.
All that money for that.
I just won't downshift in that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The real kicker for me was, those. Not only that, but the entire mechanic that this expansion is based on works on one map.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So they could have given us an extra map, another double-sided map with no water on it. I would have been fine with that. And then given us maybe some tokens.
I was about to say that you could have put onto the other maps.
On other maps. Have it as a modular thing.
Yep.
That would have been cool.
Like every other module that game has.
Yep.
No, it's printed on the Japan map.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then I think they had some of the new thing as well, where they added in like bits of like rule changes for certain sections as well. From what I remember, that was probably my favourite part. Of the expansion.
Your favourite part of the expansion wasn't the key aspect of the expansion.
No, it was not.
Was enough to justify the box.
Like I said, I wasn't bothered by the additional player, but we knew that was coming anyway. I'll accept it. Fine, whatever. New maps, like I said, new content, always good for a game I really like. Brilliant, but
considering we waited a year for this as well,
exactly,
didn't we?
Yeah, it just didn't feel all that special. And I'll be honest, what it's done is a lot more damage because I haven't played Heat since. Because I know a lot of the uprated cards that have gone into the mechanic deck, which we use on almost every game we play, I can't be bothered to go through and try and find them. Because some of them are obviously very rain dependent.
Yep.
Well, I'm not bothered about that. I damn sure haven't played that map since. Yeah. It's just sort of like this is a bit rubbish and pointless. And I think this one, for me, is heavily influenced by the cost of that expansion. It's a small expansion.
Yeah.
By comparison.
It's not worth it.
It is not worth it. And do you know what? This was one of those games I was like, one, I want this because I like the game. Two, I want this because, damn it, we need to get some content out of this.
Yeah.
This game is hot. It'd be good to talk about it, let people know my opinions on it and all that kind of garbage. And I just didn't want to.
So if the price was less, let's say 20 quid, for example, would your opinion be different on it?
I think a lesser cost would assist in it because then it is just that I'm paying for a couple of extra maps.
Yeah.
£10 for a board, a double-sided board, that's pretty good. The extra player, look, it's not really for me, but I understand that's how you're going to get the extra players in the game. Fine, stick that in there and the extra modules and stuff. 15, 20 quid, I probably would have gone for it and said, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would still have been horrifically disappointed in it. The fact that the titular mechanic can still only be played on one map.
As I said, that is the biggest downer, I think, for me, is they should have gone for tiles that could have been used on all the maps.
Yeah.
To add replay value to the original stuff as well as this new stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah, there's already a weather module in the base game.
I was literally about to say that. I swear there was a weather module in the original.
There's a weather module that affects... it's been a while since I played it, so I can't remember how it works, but it affects the track in other ways. But being able to combine that weather module with, like you said, placeable heavy rain tiles.
Yeah.
Because,
Flooding tiles, yeah.
One of the weather states is rain.
Yeah.
And a lot of the base game maps are places like the UK, Italy, tracks that are famous for getting rain.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm very surprised Great Britain wasn't the extra board that was covered in heavy rain.
To be fair, the Japanese track is famous for getting
Is it? I
washed
don't
out.
know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It's one of those, if it's dry, something's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Fair enough.
It is it's one of the things it's known for being a very wet track. But for those of us who live in Europe, around the European circuits, in the UK, Germany, like I said, even places like Monza are immune to it. It's it rains quite a bit on the F1 calendar.
Yeah,
it's something they have to deal with.
Yep. So I
great game, bad expansion.
Yeah.
But like I said, had I done a list, that probably would have been fighting for the top spot for I'm actually quite excited for this because I love the base game, and what is this?
I mean, it's put me in a state of mind where if they were to announce the next expansion tomorrow for release at Essen, I might be like, well, I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's kind of not giving you the hype for the next one now.
Exactly. Whereas before, it would have been click my fingers, I'm there. I'm running for that stand.
That's a shame, mate, considering how much you like the original. Yeah. But at least we know that's not going to be in your top 5 expansions of all time.
Well, I might play it again and it suddenly becomes amazing.
Ooh, content.
See if anyone picks up on it.
Yeah,
that tells how many people actually listen.
About a year ago, you said that.
Yeah, fingers cracking. For the
Meeple
Minded.
Yeah.
The Meeple Minded superfan.
Let's get those keyboard warriors going.
That's it, mate. Right, my number 2 is probably going to be a shocker for you both, but I had to put it on this list because I was disappointed by it in the end. And my number 2 is Awaken Realms Nemesis Lockdown.
Interesting.
I knew you'd say that.
Very
Interesting, because you kept your mouth closed on that when I was talking about it earlier.
I certainly did.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away.
Snide.
Very, very, very close to my number 1, but then I did actually remember a game that I was more disappointed with more. But again, this one is because I was so looking forward to this. I loved the first one when I first played it, and finding out that I was the only one that backed the whole shebang of this. I'd done from the playmat to the stretch goals to the add-ons, everything. I went all out for Nemesis Lockdown. I could not wait.
Much like every crowdfunding campaign you go.
But this is the only one I've ever really gone out for.
Okay, fair enough.
So when it came, super hyped up to play this. We got this to the table straight away.
We did, yeah.
And we played it a couple times, and there was something right off the bat that we mentioned on the review, how it's like a movie sequel. Like, it's got its moments, great moments of that, but it can't surpass the original.
No.
And
it's Jurassic Park 2.
It didn't have the feel of the original. That's the biggest thing I remember from that game is I really liked the light and dark mechanic.
Yeah.
I liked the power mechanic.
Yeah.
With it going on and off, and that's tied into the lights going on and off. So the different dice depending on whether the lights are on or off.
Yeah.
But once you're out of the cell, there's no need for the players to actually interact with each other.
Yeah. So the first one's on the Nemesis ship, isn't it? Hence why it's called that.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is on a base on Mars. So I didn't feel like it was more like I need to get out of here. I need to do something with this, I've kind of felt like James said, right, I'm going to go here, put the power on, get that elevator working, and then get power running here and such. I didn't feel like there was much of a threat with this one. I also felt there was kind of like, because we played on the playmat as well, there were issues with trying to read the board as well and all that sort of stuff. So I remember we all enjoyed it, but there was just something about it that just did not click with the original one. It just did not deliver.
Where the original has you have to check the destination of the ship. You have to check whether the engines are working.
Yeah.
It has those mechanics that force you, A, together, or at least to pair up, and B, to have a goal to shoot for.
Yep.
And it also didn't have that, who's waiting to stab me in the back? I know it's one of you.
And this is it.
It's like, you literally didn't have to interact with the other players.
No. It was a very, very solitaire game.
I mean, Jason did end up messing us up, but only
As he always does.
Shocker.
Literally only to break the stalemate, because it was getting a little bit like, well,
Can we
we've just been wandering around the board, so you know, stuff
But
you.
the thing that really got me is that this game has two versions of its map, whereas Nemesis is just the Nemesis. This one, we've kind of got the base one side, then we've got half of the base, and we have like an exterior part where you got the buggy, you can actually go out and stuff like that. And we never done it because we done our free playthroughs for the review, and then we all just thought to ourselves, don't really feel like I need to move on with this now. We don't really need to play the expansions or the other bits to it. There's just nothing that really made us want to go, right, now let's go do this again.
Yeah. It was missing for me that core aspect of, I have to work with this guy.
Yeah.
But at any moment, he could stab me in the back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what it lacked, didn't it?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, when I went all out for this and whatnot, I can't deny I had to go on the list. It was so close to being number one because it was a game I was so looking forward to. I have backed the third one, but at least I know the third one is a different game to 1 and 2. So I know I'm going to get a total different experience of it.
It's a total different experience. And this is what I said at the beginning of the episode. It's like, that is a game I am so hyped for. Yeah. It will be the same as Lockdown. When you put the message in the group chat that says, it's arrived.
Yeah.
It'll be, all right, play. We want to play.
Yeah.
But it is so different. I am really worried that it's not going to live up to the hype.
And this is it. So fingers crossed we can only do I think they've learned their lesson from Nemesis Lockdown, hence the point why the third one will be different.
I mean, I think it will because it is, from what I remember, it's fully co-op.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling that game is going to be almost Project Elite. That's the thing. It's going to be 4 or 5 of you versus it's going to be very combat focused, that one.
I mean, it's like you were saying about with your themed dice. I think a lot of people have been trying to sell their copies of Lockdown. Yeah. But Nemesis still makes money today.
Yes.
I don't see anyone buying Lockdown now.
No.
Honestly, it's a shame because that game had potential. But for me, it's like your expansion to Heat just did not deliver for me in the end and got rid of it not long after we done our review.
Yeah.
So,
it is fair. It just didn't. It had enough different mechanics in it to say
it's worth trying.
It's interesting, but it just didn't scratch the itch that made the original one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
and it is that aspect of I need to explore this ship for a reason because otherwise we all die.
Exactly.
Kind of makes Aftermath the actual sequel as opposed to Lockdown.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a very good pick. As I said, that was going to be one of my honourable mentions. So there you go.
All right, number one.
Here we go.
Okay, Jason. What has made that, I suppose, in this list, uncoveted number one spot?
Yes,
Nemesis.
It is never. No, the original. No, it's not.
Oh, I will launch myself over this table.
Right, okay. This one is the only game I reckon that went on this list immediately.
Okay.
As soon as I knew we were doing this list. This was on the list when it was games that totally suck.
Oh, wow. So this is the bottom of the barrel.
This is literally garbage. Hot garbage. In fact, I would rather play with garbage than play with this
Can you
game.
guess it before he says it?
No, I don't know what it is.
No? Okay.
I'm going to kick myself when he says it, though.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. We wait with bated breath.
Aye. Now, here we go. This is a little 2-player game from Funko, which is Star Wars Rivalries.
Of course.
We did a damn episode about this that I physically couldn't bring myself to release because it was making me physically sick listening to it.
I don't know why I didn't clock that.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the expo.
I should have known because I remember the aborted episode we attempted to do on it.
Indeed. It was not a family-friendly episode. It was a very, very ranty episode. Not that I think any of our content is overly positive. You know, I'm more than happy to be negative about games.
Yeah,
but my God, did I tear this game to shreds?
Yeah.
If I had to try and family friendly that episode, it consisted of a lot of what is this? What is this?
Yes. Right. So why is this number one? Well, it's hot garbage. Is why. It's not a game. There's no game here. It's little mini figures that I'm really going to try and not go into a massive rant
swear.
again. But
if anyone's wondering what that episode consisted of,
yeah, I'm really going to try and keep this short and sweet. But the biggest problem with that is it is not a goddamn game. It is a minifigures collection set.
I was about to say
that they've shoved some cards in that make no logical sense at all. Other than plus and minus. It's maths is what this game is.
Is this the one where you've got to try and take the location or something?
Exactly, yeah. So basically, 2-player game. Right, I've got, I don't know, Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, and some other nobody. Right, a rebel trooper. You've got Darth Vader and a couple of stormtroopers.
Okay.
And each of those, you've got cards for them all. Each of them have got like a intimidation value, I think is what it was. And that's how you gain locations. In the center of the board, there's 3 locations. I'm the first player. Right, I put my Luke Skywalker on location 1. And you've got Darth Vader. The logical thing is, well, you're going to go on location 1 because my intimidation factor is 6 and yours is 7, which means you've got more intimidation. You're going to win the area. So you put him there. And I'm like, do I really want to give him that one? Or do I want to add my Rebel Trooper, which will add 2 intimidation factors to my already rubbish intimidation? Yes, I'm going to. Now I've got more intimidation, so I'm going to win that area. But you could add someone else there to beat me again. I was like, well, okay, maybe you won't want to do that. Maybe you want to give up that area because it's worth 3 points at the end of the game. So you put your Stormtrooper over here on this one, which is worth 2 points at the end of the game. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm not bothered about 2 points. With my final character, I'm going to put it over here for this area that's worth 5 because I can see that your other character hasn't got enough intimidation to beat this character. So on and so forth. That's it.
That's the actual hell?
That's
I'm lost already.
Yeah, so that's the end of the round, right? And we look at it and go, right, who's got the most intimidation here? Me. Right, I win that one. Oh, who's got it here? You win that one. I win this one. Cool. We keep going until the end of the deck runs out. Who's got the most points in their thing here? I have. Cool. I win. Yay. Wonderful. What? How is that a game?
It's not, Jason. It's garbage.
It's utter garbage. It is a gigantic cash cow. I'm glad that Funko Games are gone for doing such hot garbage.
Probably why they went out of business.
It's really annoying, right? Because Funko Games have done some good games. We're playing Legacy of Isla Nublar at the moment. Really good game. Great production. Great IP. That could arguably be, that could be a cash cow, but it's not. It's got a good game behind it.
There's actually a game behind it, yeah.
This has no game whatsoever. You might as well give me a goddamn calculator and go press random numbers. That's your intimidation. Woohoo!
Yeah, it literally sounds like you said they had the figures and then they were just going to add a game to it, some sort.
And it's not like, I like Darth Maul. Okay, he's my favourite character of all time.
No, wait, me too.
You know, it's like, okay, he's a character in this game. Awesome. I'm going to buy that one and that'll be my character. Yeah. Cool. Just keep buying these boxes and eventually you'll find him. Well, no, I want
So it's a gamble
Darth
thing
Maul.
again, yeah.
It's the TCG model again, but with minifigures, so they can charge more, obviously. And it's just, people went out and they bought loads of it and loads of it and loads of it. It's like, these minifigures are cool. I wasn't a huge fan of the style.
Right.
But, you know what, I'll understand. People like it, fine, whatever. It's a collector's item. That's all it was. It's not a game. I would rather... it would have been much better. It probably would have made them more money if they sold them as collectible figures and then maybe given one of the... You know, like in the old school, when you used to buy a figure or something, you got like a little bit of cardboard that had their name and some stats about them. You know, as like a collectible piece. It would have been far better for them to do that than try and pass this absolute trash off as a game.
Yep.
And try and sell it to gamers of all people. And this was hot at UK Games Expo, and I can't figure out why, other than were children's ticket sales high that year?
Must have been.
Because clearly that's who they were selling this to. I don't know a single person that has spoken positively of this game. I only got to play this game because, unfortunately, Paul did buy this because he was suckered in by the hype and obviously thought that there was a bit more of a game there. And it just isn't. And I can tell
Remind
you
me, James, to not showing my Rivals collection.
and I can tell you, I don't think he has a particularly fond attraction to it because it's still downstairs in my damn kitchen.
Oh, there you go.
I can't even put it near my games. It will taint my games.
So he hasn't burnt or melted them yet.
Only because they're not his.
Do you know what? Genuinely, if this was mine, I would.
You would have done.
I would. I would have removed these from this world.
Wow.
It is utter trash. Had to be number one. It was
It's a
always
good
going to
number
be
one,
number
mate.
one.
It's a good number one.
Always going to be number one. I got told the other day, occasionally people like hearing me rant. Well, there you go. That is a goddamn rant. Somehow I managed to keep somewhat family friendly.
You did well, mate.
But for the record, when we did an episode on this, that rant was about 45 minutes long.
Yeah. I just to add insult to injury, it's like it aggrieves me that a game like Destiny died and yet someone put that forward and got it accepted.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, other than money, cash dollar signs.
It's Star Wars. It's going to make money regardless, isn't it?
You know, in the now famously deleted episode, I believe I said that in the middle of my rant was that this is nothing short of a cash cow and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Right.
Well said,
I'm going to stop because otherwise I'll go on again. So, there we go. That's me.
So
Star Wars Rivals Funko. Done.
And we've had a rant from Jason.
Mine's not going to be a rant. That's all good, mate.
Your number one, please, sir.
My number one.
Come on, there's got to be a bit of a rant. It's the number one.
It's not quite a rant, but I'll explain why it's number one. Speaking of Paul, and I'm so sorry, sir, for saying this, but this is going to be my number one due to the experience I had with this game. My number one is IV Studios Moonrakers.
I still haven't played this game, just for the record.
So the reason it's my number one is my experience with this game. Now, the game itself is fine. It's not amazing. It was very slightly hyped from last year's UK Expo, which is how I got to play it last year. Now, the aim of the game is to get to 10 victory points. All right. In order to do that, you need to complete missions. Completing missions will give you victory points, money, and extra cards. Now, there are two ways to do missions. All right. You either get the players around you to help you with the mission, or build up your deck, do the missions yourself, which takes forever. This is a long game, by the way. So myself and Simon, I played it with the Board Stupid guys, were playing it a specific way. We were doing it the way as to get the other players to help you out. So, James, this mission, it's 2 victory points and 3 money. If you come with me, I'll give you a victory point and I'll take a victory point and the money. And if you say yes and we complete the mission, you take it and we take our rewards, whatnot. Here's the kicker. If I get to 9 victory points and I ask you, James, come and help with this mission, now you're not going to do it, are you?
No.
Because I'm 1 point away from victory.
Mm-hmm.
So how the hell am I meant to win the game if I've played it all the way like this, not built my deck up and got to 9 victory points, and I'm at the situation where myself and Simon are looking at each other going, well, what's the point of us playing now? Because we can't do anything now. And other people have probably built their decks up and gone, right, well, this is how I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to win this game. Now, I just find that it wasn't the best experience for it at all. I mean, what else can you do? Because by the time I do probably build my deck up, other people have won the game by then. So we're just sitting there. And I remember Simon got very irate with the situation he's in and I felt for him because I was like, I'm in the same situation as you, mate. We can't do anything else in this game. We might as well just sit out and wait for someone else to win. And I can't play a game like that because what is the point? And that's why I think this has to be my number one because I had such a experience with it.
It definitely sounds that way.
It definitely is.
I remember.
So I'm trying not to rant, but
I do remember you talking to us about it at the time. Now, I obviously see people playing this all the time, and I'll be honest, I don't see what the hook is.
No, I'm very in and out with Ivy Studios games. I have one of theirs, which is Fractured Skies. I'm still in between about that game itself. We've only played it the once, but they're a company where production value is fantastic, but game quality is very in and out. You either love or hate it like Marmite.
Yeah.
And, I think at the time we were playing this game, the person whose game it was, I can't remember whose game it was at the time, forgot to mention about the deck building aspect to it. So I thought that was the only way to win was by getting other people to help me out. And then, if you're led by that, then how am I supposed to enjoy a game, your game as well? Because from that experience, I never want to play Moonrakers again. Every time I see it, I can't stand the sight of it.
Yeah.
Because me and Simon have just sat there going, well, what is the point?
Yeah.
We knew from then on we didn't like this game.
Yeah.
So that solely is my number one reason. There is, if you know how to play it properly, there is a good game in there, I am sure, but I just don't want to go back to it ever.
Yep. But then that definitely sounds like because this person left out a key aspect of the teach, it's tainted the experience.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, I mean, I'm struggling to wrap my head around what is the point of putting a mechanic in if it is going to handicap you that badly? Because like you said, once you get to 9 points...
What am I to do?
Yeah.
What am I to do? Because then I have to sit out so many rounds to build my deck up. And then when I have the deck to do something, someone's won the game. So it punishes you for using a mechanic that they've brought in to help you up the track. And I just don't get that. I really don't. So that's why Moonrakers was a very, very disappointing game for me.
That's totally fair.
Yep.
Sounds like you didn't have a very good experience with it.
No.
So,
Yep, and again, just shows how a bad teach, as we said with a bad rulebook, a bad teach can put you off a game.
Absolutely. And with all these games, like I said, I don't hate them. I find hate to be a very, very strong word. They're all good games. There's one that you hate, that's fine. But in my top 5, I don't want people to come at me in the comments going, oh, you did this about this. I don't hate the games. The reason they're on this list is because I had bad experiences with them. And that solely is why Moonrakers is there number 1.
Totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fair. And it's your list, it's your experiences. So you are entitled to your opinion, much the same as everyone is entitled to theirs.
Absolutely.
Even when they're wrong.
Yeah. Paul's going to come at me now saying, why do you keep playing around my game? both these games are number ones.
Sorry,
I'm so
Paul.
sorry, Paul.
Well, James, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There's
we got through that, and there's some interesting games on that list.
Yeah.
And may I say you was a good host, sir.
Thank you.
And he's now like, no, give it back. It's my word now.
My precious. My precious.
No, it was good. Well done, James. You did very well at hosting that and keeping us in line.
Yes.
Stopping us from going off on a massive tangent.
I'm sorry. I fed the rant because I totally agree. I was like,
Yeah, he was feeding it.
Poke the beast. The game sucks.
It's absolute rubbish. This is absolute garbage.
Oh, I need to get me some effects for Harry Enfield. Absolutely marvellous. But yes, are you happy to end the episode there, sir?
Yeah, I think we've 2 very good lists there. Lots to
Only one clash.
Lots to consider. Only one clash.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yep.
Not too bad. And one absolute hot mess of it.
Absolute garbage.
Oh, right. Yeah, we do need to end the episode because my throat is dying. And if I don't, I know I'm going to start again in a minute because I can feel it boiling inside me.
You're gonna make an apology to Paul and go outside and burn that game.
It's very, very tempting. I'm not going to lie, but no, it's not mine. I can't do that. I'm sure he'll probably tell me to do it anyway. But there we go. If you haven't got anything
all it needed was some dice.
Yes.
To for some combat over there
to push. Jason, before we sign off, I think you just need to mention about the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes. God help you if you're still listening after that. But if you are still listening, we have started finally doing YouTube videos. At this point, I think there's 2 game reviews that I've put up. Can't actually remember.
At time of recording, yeah.
At the time of recording, I have started working on a few more. I have talked to you, Anthony, about doing some top 5s.
Yep.
For the YouTube channel. Maybe if we can somehow get James to sit in front of a camera, you might get to see James's ugly mug as well. But we'll see how that goes.
I do love a top 5.
But yeah, if you are interested in seeing any of our content, please do head over to our YouTube channel and give it a subscribe. We are going to try our hardest to push that this year. We are also pushing our Instagram.
Yep.
Doing a lot of the community hashtags, so we'll start posting a lot more pictures on there. For some obscure reason, we're also on TikTok. How long I keep that up for, I will never know.
That's a whole new ball game, mate.
It really is. I've been on there once or twice and just wanted to leave.
What absolute garbage.
That's another rant altogether, that one. But no. Content-wise, we are really going to try and push out the content this year. This podcast will still remain just once a week, much to the same format as we normally do. But yeah, YouTube, I'm going to try and do something once every week, but it might be a little bit less than that because, I have a full-time job.
And Wimbledon coming up as well.
Yes, unless someone wants to pay me a full-time wage to just not do work and
and just do content. That'd be
somebody who wants to pay me a full-time wage to not work. That's the dream, that is.
That
right?
really is, isn't it?
Can somebody pay me just to wake up?
Yeah. Or not. That I'd be okay with that as well. You want to pay me just to stay in bed all day? I'm also very happy and agreeable with those terms. But yes, thank you very much for reminding me to do that. I will probably do it a little bit over the coming weeks to really push it, but I'm not wanting to do it all the time. So there you go. If you guys have any comments on anything that we have said today and James's horrendous top 5.
Oh, no. No. Ladies and gentlemen, please comment on how wrong they both are, just because it will be hilarious, because I didn't make a list.
So yeah, if you do have comments on either of ours, Paul, please do leave a comment below, or you can message us privately if you want to be a bit more abusive. I will endeavour to read every single comment, have a good laugh, and then attempt to retaliate.
Bombard him with messages telling him how good Rivals is.
But there you go. Yes, any of those things, let us know on any of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you could do it on there. I don't know. There's still the Discord.
You can comment, yeah.
All of these things, they're all in the podcast description. Please do head over to a YouTube channel, give that a subscribe, watch some of the videos, and comment on those about how bad they are and how much you hate my ugly mug. I'm open to all of that. But until next week, I do need to go because my throat is dying. I have been Jason.
I have been James.
I've been Ant.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.